So, hello everybody, welcome to EAL's webinar presentation on the third amendment of BS 7671 wiring regulations. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Hopefully you can see us all. I just want to introduce my colleagues co-presenting today, Tony Cable from the NICEIC and David Morgan, EAL Business Development. Tony will be doing the main part of the presentation on the new third amendment. This presentation, thank you Tony, this presentation will be uploaded after today, and we will send you a link to the presentation. We will also welcome questions, so in the right hand side, right hand side, you'll be able to pose questions to Tony or to myself and David, and we'll be able to answer those towards the end of the presentation. Thank you. Sorry, Leslie, can you just change? I can't change the slides.
If you click the left and right at the bottom of this page.
Okay, bear with me everybody, technical difficulties. Thank you. So the qualification we're actually discussing today is EAL's new qualification for the third amendment, level 3 award in requirements for electrical installation, BS 7671 2008-2015. The qualification itself is a open book assessment. It has 35 guided learning hours and has 4 credits. It's a level 3 qualification accredited on the QCF, and basically, as you're probably aware, it gives learners an understanding of the application of the IET wiring regulations BS 7671 2015. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to Tony, who will be able to talk you through the changes in the new regulations.
Hello all. I've seen by the list of attendees, I know a lot of you. So hello to all the people I know. Hello to all the people who have actually, I don't know. Changes to BS 7671. Here we are. We're talking about this nice new yellow book. It's the third amendment to the 17th edition. It was published on the 5th of January 2015, so a couple of weeks ago, and it intends to come into effect on the 1st of July 2015. 5.5 months now. You can train and assess to the new book now. So, installations designed after the 30th of June 2015 are to comply with the new Amendment 3. Let me take you and tell you a little about the history of the regs. The first set of regs came out in 1882, some 133 years ago. So really, if you think how long this planet's been going, we're a very, very new industry. Now, we're on the 17th book. So you think to yourself, 17th edition, 17 books? Not at all. There's actually been 48 different books since 1882. Why? I know most electricians tend to blame me and tell me it's because that everyone's trying to put the price of their jobs up and just to annoy them. It's not, of course it's not. It's to do with new products that come on the market. It's to do with changes of our industry and sometimes circumstances. And a couple of these new regs coming on, I'm going to be talking about them because they're circumstances. Now this new book, this nice new yellow one, has got 32 more pages. But I've got to tell you, there's 1,480 new regs or amendments. So there's an awful lot in there for you to teach. To start with, just to upset all you college lecturers, there is a new numbering system. And that doesn't affect Sparks, but it does college lecturers, because unfortunately you never change all your notes. The 100 numbers will identify regulations from CENILEC. Now previously 100 was UK only regs. Now UK only regs are 201, 202, etc. That's UK only. However, you are going to get UK only regs with the 100 and the 200 until more than likely the 18th edition comes along. So let's have a look. You've all considered yourself competent and you've been teaching people competence. There is a definition change. Now, as I go through this, I'm going to actually tell you what page we're looking at so you can make notes yourself. We're looking at page 35, part 2 on the definitions, and it is a skilled person electrically. And it's a person who possesses, as appropriate to the nature of the electrical work to be undertaken, adequate education, training and practical skills, and who is able to perceive risks and avoid hazards which electricity can create. So as you can see, for the first time ever, it's got the word education in. One change is going to affect everyone. ZS values. The ZS values are going to change. Now what we're looking at here, chapter 41, page 57. And this is the maximum ZS values. I do stress it's the maximum values. And they're going to change because of a new factor coming in. And this is a Cmin factor. Brand new. As you can see there, it says it's the minimum voltage factor to take account of voltage variations depending on the time and the place and the changing of transformer taps and other considerations. Now, as you know, as the day goes on, the voltage changes. So that is what this is to take into account of. What it's going to do, it's going to reduce all ZS values by 5%. So let's go back to that table. As you can see there, this is on there, it's a BS 60898, a type B. Now, if you look there, at the moment for a 6 amp, the maximum value is 7.67. It's actually going to go down to 7.28. But this is the maximum value, what you want on your certificate. It is not the 80% rule of thumb that you would actually test to. Now, tables are going to be prepared for you on software and if you're buying certificates from us. Additional protection. I'm actually looking at page 56 now, for those of you looking. It's chapter 41, protection against electric shock. You might look at this reg and say, actually, that's exactly the same as the green book. It is. This bit here it's 411.3.3. And it says in AC systems, additional protection by means of an RCD in accordance with regulation 415.1, that's 30 milliamp, shall be provided for dotty 1, socket outlets with a rated current not exceeding 20 amps, so that's a 13 amp socket outlet, and 2, mobile equipment with a rating not exceeding 32 amps for use outdoors. And as you can see under there, I've got regardless of the user. We've got 2 exemptions, and the exemption is to one only, so that's your socket outlets. A, you can see, excuse me, is in red. What it says in the green book is socket outlets for under the supervision of a skilled or instructed person. So if you add a skilled or instructed person, you needn't put 30 milliamp RCD protection. That has gone. And what it says, now as you can see, other than for an installation in a dwelling, a documented risk assessment determines that RCD protection is not necessary. Or B, for want of a better word, you label it. So what does that mean for dwellings? In dwellings, you've got 2 choices. It's either RCD or it's labelled. Anywhere else, say in your computer suites, you've got 3 choices. 30 milliamp RCD, a label, or you're going to do a detailed risk assessment. I think if you're not going to put the RCD, you will be labelling it. Cables in walls or partition. What I'm looking at now is page 128, chapter 52, and it's section 522. And what it says, if cables installed less than 50 millimeters from the surface of the wall or partition, must be given additional protection by a 30 milliamp RCD, regardless of the supervision. Now, it did say before, if it was under the supervision of a skilled instructed person, you could do away with this. It's gone now. And let's be realistic. I think most people out there now Got 30 milliamp RCD protection everywhere. You don't need it, of course, if you've got a cable with an earthed outer sheath, as you can see there. Wiring systems in escape routes. This is a brand new regulation. It is on page 127, and it talks about escape routes. An escape route, if you look at the beginning, you'll see a definition of an escape route, and it's the path to safety in the event of an emergency. What's it say? Wiring systems in escape routes shall be supported such they will not be liable to premature collapse in the event of a fire. Now there's two notes to this. Note 1, which we're looking at now, is the reason for the regulation. And it says non-metallic trunking or other non-metallic means of support can fail when subject to either direct flames or hot products of combustion. So what are they talking about? They're talking about plastic products, plastic trunking, plastic conduit. And when they say fail, they mean melt. And of course, what happens if they melt? The next bit. This may lead to wiring systems hanging across access or egress routes, such they will hinder the evacuation and firefighting activities. Two things on that bottom line. Evacuation. The fire alarm goes off, everyone's out of the place like a rocket. And then the fires come in to do the firefighting activities. And this is the reason or the circumstance has brought this regulation about. Unfortunately, 2 firefighters were lost when they went into a building and all the cables were hanging down and it got caught up in their breathing apparatus. So that's the reason, note 1. Note 2 tells you what you've got to do. It says this precludes the use of non-metallic cable clips, plastic cable clips, cable ties, plastic ties, or trunking as the sole support. For example, when non-metallic trunking is used, a suitable fire-resistant means of support or retention must be provided to prevent cables falling out in the event of a fire. So what are they talking about? Don't forget, it's only in escape routes. So wherever you're sitting now, you think, well, how would I get out of this place? Think where the escape route is. And what we're saying now, if you're on the escape route, whereas before you might have had plastic tie wraps, it is now metal tie wraps. Metal clips for plastic trunking. There is a company bought out a clip, something like that, and what you do, it's metal, you actually fix it through with a metal fixing, and then you close the clip on the cable. So if the trunking did melt, the cables were retained. One thing I've got to tell you now, you haven't got to earth them or bond them. And also, if you're going to put plastic conduit, you're more likely to put metal saddles. Auxiliary circuits. The definition is on page 23, and it says it's circuits for the transmission of signals intended for control, detection, supervision or management of the functional status of the main circuit. So a lot of you guys doing all these fancy office blocks, you'll be putting 230 volts to it every light, and then you'll be putting signal cables, and these signal cables will be telling the light what to do, whether to dim, to come on, go off. So it's these auxiliary circuits. And as you can see down there, fire alarm and intruder alarms, traffic lights, they've got their own standards, so they don't come in this. Now, just let me tell you what you've got at the moment. This is in your regulations at the moment, in the green copy. It's regulation 537.5.3. I'm not going to read it. It is 1.5 lines long about auxiliary circuits. The new section on auxiliary circuits is 6 pages, very nearly. So it's a big section. So if any of you are teaching this or you're installing these, you are going to have to know this section. Consume units and switchgear. This new reg is more likely the most controversial one in the new book. Why? London Fire Brigade tell us that there are 2 fires a week due to consume units. Where are most consume units installed? Under the stairs or by the front door? People have got to get out down those stairs or out the front door. And if they're on fire, you're going to have a problem. So that's the reason this reg has come about. So let's see what it says. Within domestic household premises, consumer units and similar switchgear assemblies shall comply with the BS EN 61439-3. I've got to tell you now, it talks about what's in the consumer unit. And it says, and shall, 1, have their enclosures manufactured from non-combustible material. I should have said to you, we're on page 75, if any of you are looking for this, page 75. And 2, be enclosed in a cabinet or enclosure constructed of non-combustible material and comply with regulation 132.12, which is accessibility. So it goes on to say, the notes. Note 1, ferrous metal, example steel, is deemed to be example of non-combustible material. So what they're saying, metal consumer units. And note 2 says the implementation for this regulation is the 1st of January 2016. It's got another year, but it does not preclude compliance with this regulation prior to that date. Now, why they've actually done this, because I must admit I've seen about 3 or 4 different manufacturers metal consumer units, and some of the others haven't got one on the market yet. So it's for those other people to catch up and get it onto the market. Some other stuff I'm going to tell you about, which is not on the slides, but this is actually from a Beamer technical bulletin. Beamer is the association which all the consumer unit manufacturers belong to. One of the questions posed is, what is a definition of non-combustible? And it says there's no public definition of non-combustible that aligns with the intent of this regulation. A further point for clarification is that plastic enclosures manufactured from 960-degree glow wire rated material would not be classified as non-combustible. Now, I have been told that a couple of manufacturers are still saying that their plastic consumer units comply. As you can see, Beamer are saying that they don't. And it says what is meant by similar switchgear assemblies. Similar switchgear assemblies are assemblies used for the same functional application as consumer units. Now, I know what you're going to say to me. You're going to say, oh dear, the consumer unit, it's got to be metal. What about the meter and what about the cutout? It's the consumer unit we're talking about. And the reason is because they're not being installed properly. You've got loose connections, and the loose connections are the ones causing the fire. They also say, Beamer, does the regulation apply to consumer units and similar switchgear assemblies installed in domestic garages and outbuildings? And the short answer to that is yes, they do. Changes to the electrical installation certificate. The current schedule of items inspected, completed for every new circuit or new installation, is due to be replaced with a list of items being inspected, very much in line with what's used in the EICR. So what you've got now, if you're teaching that now, you've been teaching that, you have now got to teach that. It's actually gone, as you can see, from 44 items to be inspected to 120, and I'll tell you, it's actually 120 plus. And I think that is the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you, Tony, for your excellent and detailed presentation. What I'd like to do now for a couple of moments is just share with you some of the reasons why, if you are a centre or a centre with aspirations to deliver this qualifications, why you should do so, and if you are a learner, the reasons behind why you should embark on this qualification. The qualification itself has been developed in consultation with the further education sector, training associations and employers, and is supported importantly by NIC, EIC and endorsed by Certsure. Clearly, the qualification is QCF regulated, so you have that guarantee that the qualification is regulated through Ofqual, and it also reflects the requirements of the IAT Wiring Regulations 17th edition. Perhaps more importantly, for learners, it provides an entry into a range of additional qualifications and apprenticeship frameworks. The qualification itself provides some evidence of proof of the capability of an individual who might be working or will be working as an electrician, electrical installer. Tony mentioned 1,480 new regulations or amendments within this third edition. One sure way to prove that you understand what those 1,480 changes are is to embark upon and achieve the qualification. In addition, Tony clearly outlined the removal of the term competent, as competent within these regulations, and the new term of skilled person electrically. Again, what better way to prove or start to prove that you are that skilled person than to achieve the qualification itself. And for those who are in business and for whom electrical installation is a primary business function, there's also a way of proving current expertise which can only help in securing business, winning tenders and providing a competitive business advantage. At EAL, we do produce delivery materials, and again for this particular qualification we have a delivery unit. The delivery unit itself outlines the learning outcomes, the assessment criteria, and perhaps more importantly for those who are delivering the qualification, provides some referencing across from the learning outcomes and assessment criteria to the new yellow book that Tony has clearly articulated this afternoon. We also develop support materials. We work closely with NICEIC, and I'll hand over to Kevin to explain further.
Thanks, David. Yeah, just briefly, together with the NIC, we can offer the NIC EIC learner guides at, another technical issue, bear with us, at a 30% discount. You may be familiar with these learner materials. They do consist of quite comprehensive workbooks, lots of detail in there, pictures, questions, etc., to really engage the learners. Also, there's PowerPoint slides as well to inform delivery. So the key point on these, they're available at 30% discount for EAL Centres offering this qualification. If you're interested in those, they'll be available from March, and please just contact EAL Customer Services, and their details are at the end of the presentation. David's just going to talk briefly about adding the qualification to the centre remit.
Thanks, Kevin. I just really want to cover two items before we close, and that is about adding the qualification if you are an existing centre, and secondly, how to become an EAL centre for those of you who aren't currently but wish to become a centre with us. In terms of adding the qualification to your current remit, then you'll all be familiar with Smarter Touch if you're a current centre. On the home page there's a hyperlink, Qualification Approval Application, and as with other qualifications, simply fill in that form, submit it electronically to us, and a member of our QCS team here at EAL will approve that application. For those who aren't the current EAL centre, I'd just like to spend a couple of moments sharing with you why I believe we're different and why I believe you should become an EAL centre to offer this qualification. We're innovative, we work with partners, and that's proven by Tony's attendance here with us today from NICEIC. We develop innovative delivery material that helps you as a centre develop your learning material, develop your curriculum, develop your assessment material, and helps you through that process. We have a team of full-time external verifiers who work full-time as employees of the organisation, and that is something quite different in the sector that we work in. And perhaps more importantly, we are competitively priced. So if you are thinking of becoming a centre to offer this qualification, I'd encourage you to contact either our customer service team on the details on your slide, or through the customer service team, contact myself or any of my team. Be more than happy to come and visit and speak with you about the potential and the opportunity of working with EAL.
And finally, just wanted to say thank you for joining our webinar today, and I'm sure you found it as informative as I did. Please join us and look out for future webinars where we'll be discussing new qualifications covering engineering and building services trailblazers. So we'll be delighted to share that information with you as soon as we get that. Thank you very much, and thank you to Tony and David. Any questions? Is there any questions, Leslie? So we've only got one question. Hi Phil, you want to get the course allocated to your centre, but it doesn't appear to be on Smarter Touch. David, any thoughts on that, or we can get back to Phil?
Phil, we're in WAF at the moment. I will speak to those who are involved with Smarter Touch, and if it's not currently on there, then obviously we'll make sure it is and come back to you with a definitive answer by the close of play today.
So we'll just hang on a few moments. Any more questions?
Well, we seem to be getting lots of thank yous, and they quite like the presentation.
That's good. So centre teaching materials be available. All the delivery materials and qualification manual are available now and on SAP, so please access that. The qualification is fully launched and available. In terms of the NIC, EIC support materials, they're going to be available from March. So please just contact customer services towards the end of February, March, if you're referring to those materials, and they'll be able to help you. Just waiting for any more questions. Thanks, Joe. Yes, so question there from Joe Lowe. Yeah, we will send you a link to this presentation, so please share with your colleagues.
I'd just like to add that in the email that we send out for Phil's question about Smarter Touch, we will of course send that email to everybody who has been in attendance this afternoon, so you'll all get the same answer.
Okay, just waiting, some more questions are coming in.
Yeah, we've only got about, unfortunately, 2 minutes, so you better hurry up now.
Question there, Paul Simpson. Yeah, good question. Will this be used as part of future Trailblazers? Yes, absolutely yes. The content of this QCF unit will be part of the forthcoming Electrotechnical Trailblazer Apprenticeship Qualification for apprentices in England. Yes, so it will be a core component. More information on that shortly. So with the employers on the Trailblazer aspects. Okay, I think that's all we've got time for. Again, if you do have any other questions, you may come to, please just send through to customer care. And again, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon.